Welcome back to the Gold Cup. This is the Bahia. Suffered a lot of damage. This boat won the race here in San Diego last year. Ron Armstrong, the driver, actually tried to douse some water on the Bud during that fire recently. Quite a move by Ron. Ron, I understand you were trying to go by the Budweiser, shooting spray up into the air, hopefully dousing the flames on the Bud.
Yeah, when I saw him burning there, my first thought was to get out of the way so patrol boats get to him, but I didn't see anybody on their way, so I thought, well, I'll run in and, try to do the best I can with the rooster tail. I would wait another lap, but I, try to do another circle around him, but I knew we had so much damage, I didn't want to risk, sinking ourselves.
Certainly good sportsmanship. Now, the damage on your boat, you got a mighty big hole up on the front.
Yeah, it doesn't look good at all. I'm, a bit worried about it because I don't know even right now which heat we're in, but I know they got to work fast.
Can you go without a wing?
Well, yeah, the wing was okay. It just, if it sits in the water, it'll sink. So, like if anything was a break and I was to sit there, it'd go to the bottom again. We're not ready for that.
And yet I know you would like nothing better than to get your second straight victory here in San Diego.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't look real great at the moment, but if we can get in, we'll try.
Bob Patterson, the owner of the boat, now trying to put some sheet metal up there. They will be in Heat 2B, so they've got a little bit of time on their side. In the meantime, here are the boats heading out for Heat 2A. And here are the men that will be driving them in 2A. Chip Hanauer, of course, we've talked a great deal about him already. Also, Jack Schaefer Jr., his father, very well known in this sport at one time. Mitch Evans runs a marina up in north central Washington State, driving for Ed Cooper. Todd Yarling driving for the Jim Saddam team out of Hanover, Indiana. And Scott Pierce from Seattle driving for the Mr. Pringles team, company based out of Cincinnati. Once again, 5 boats in Heat 2A, including Chip Hanauer, Scott Pierce, America's Choice, that being Mitch Evans, and the boat's a little bit late coming up for the start, Steve, and on the way outside it looked like Hanauer might be in trouble as you see Jack Schaefer for the start right on the button along with Todd Yarling. Yeah, Chip Hanauer is down as Scott Pierce goes by.
Chip will very glad now that he has those 400 points, Don. This does not mean the end of his day, but he's going to have to score some points later. And look at Jack Schaefer on the inside running beautifully. That's the biggest, heaviest boat that Jack has driven, and he's doing a great job.
So in first place, Jack Schaefer, sponsored by Kenny Toyota. It's a dealership out of Seattle in a Griffin-powered boat. We'll talk about it more as the day goes on. You saw Todd Yarling out of HFC, and they are in second place. Scott Pierce with the Mr. Pringles, another turbine-powered boat. As you see them, the piston engine-powered boat of the Kenny Toyota, and Jack Schaefer here by Irvine, California.
When you look at this shot of this boat, Don, the big bunch of plumbing behind the engine is a turbocharger, one of the most unique turbocharger applications you'll ever see in any kind of racing. They can run about as many as they want. And there's Chip Hanauer, who would like very much to be out there scoring some points, but his day is not over.
He's in a rather awkward position on the main straightaway. There he is as Scott Pierce goes by rather close. They'll have to have the fans keep him from going ashore, I would imagine, as Schaefer goes by in first place. Jack, a standing driver. We've seen him in the past. He has had victories in the past and is one of the more experienced drivers, really, in limited hydroplane racing.
But you notice in that shot we just saw, and the next time he comes around, Jack is hooking that big boat a little bit coming out of the turns, which has cost him some speed. He does not have a lot of time in this particular hull as Scott Pierce comes by in the Mr. Pringles, and that turbine does not sound just right.
Here comes Schaefer. There it is. That's the hook that you were talking about. That's a very good point, Steve. And this boat, really a whole new program, an entirely new idea going with the turbocharged Griffin. The Budweiser team years ago had a Griffin engine, but boy, they were the loudest in the world, a beautiful engine. This is a whole new idea of trying to get even more horsepower out of these huge, huge machines. As you see, Todd Yarling, second place.
Now that engine is turbocharged, but you see the turbocharger on top of the engine, not nearly as big and dramatic as the one behind Jack Schaefer, which might be part of the problem, swinging the back of that boat out. There is Scott Pierce, and that turbine is apparently going to succumb to salt problems.
Now that turbine, that's a marine turbine too. It's supposed to battle the salt. This is Mitch Evans, sponsored by Pepsi America's Choice. He's out of Lake Chelan, Washington, and is one of the up-and-coming youngsters in the sport. His dad, Norm Evans, drove years ago, and Jack Schaefer, his father, also an institution in this sport many, many years ago. Jack Schaefer Sr. Todd Yarling out of Hanover, Indiana, driving for Jim Saddam out of Madison, Indiana. And again, back to first place, Jack Schaefer Jr.
One of the advantages Jack has right here, he has tremendous power coming out of that big Griffin engine, but his boat probably weighs 1,500 to 2,000 pounds more than the one right behind him, and he's able to stay on it just a little bit longer. A little more boat weight to keep him on the water.
As you can see, some of the fans and security have had to come out and hold on to the boat. He's right in front of part of this crowd, which is numbering over 100,000, we're told by the police. We thought it'd be about 70,000, but my goodness, biggest crowd they've ever had as Jack Schaefer puts on the show. Hanauer simply waits and watch second place Todd Yarling coming down the main straightaway.
Interesting right there. Every time you see a driver come by, Chip, you'll see that something to see when you're coming by Hanauer and see him sitting so very often. Here again, Jack Schaefer leading in, as we said before, the biggest, strongest boat he's ever driven, and he's doing a great job.
That used to be the Budweiser until the end of 1985. Used brief in that particular season, but it was some kind of winning boat. Over 20 victories for that boat. This boat was born in 1984, built by John Steinecker out of Detroit, and this one by the one and only, that being Chuck Hickling out of Seattle. Here is Leif Borgeson, the team manager for Jack Schaefer's boat, is driving right there in the Kenny Toyota. The entire team based out of Seattle as they come down the straightaway. He'll have 400 points here, Steve, if he finishes, and he will. The winner here in Heat 2A, Jack Schaefer. Second place, Todd Yarling. So the numbers read like this. Kenny Toyota, that being Jack Schaefer, with 400 in good shape for the final. Then comes Todd Yarling, Mitch Evans, and more struggling on the part of Scott Pierce. And, of course, the Miller American with Chip Hanauer unable to start. Let's go down to the pits.
$700 points. Would you have predicted that at this point?
Well, I'd rather have 8, but I'll settle for 7.
You like this Southern California racing, huh? Close to home.
Oh, yeah, it's close to home. This is such a delightful place. You know, it's a neat race course. It's fast. It's got nice turns, shallow beaches. The weather's good. What more can you ask for?
Everything the way you thought it would be, except you thought Chip would be there.
Yeah, I kept looking around. I couldn't figure out where he was. I kept looking back, and he was nowhere. I thought, well, doesn't bother me.
You're the favorite right now to win the Gold Cup, right?
Well, I'm not going to say that, but it sure wouldn't bother me. It'd be a lot of fun.
Nice going, partner. Good second place. It looks like Salt is doing its thing again.
Yeah, it looks like it. You know, we knew we had a good thing going here, but that first heat just didn't work. This one's working good, and we're going to be there in the final.
In other words, you switched engines, but now you have 300 points. Get it 300, maybe 225. That should get you into the final.
Yeah, it should. That's what we're looking at. You know, this is the Gold Cup. You never give up till the final because anything can happen here.
Okay, nice going.
Thanks.
That seems to be the theme of the Budweiser camp. Never give up. It looks like they're going to be in Heat 2B. Ed Nelson, one of the crew members, they're still ripping damage off of that cowling. Let's talk with Jim Kropfeld. Jim, are they going to make it?
It looks, yeah, it's a tough question. I think so. Guys have worked their tails off here. Everybody's been helping us. A bunch of the guys from the other crews have been over, so looking pretty good.
Was the wiring gone at all, or were they able to replace what was damaged?
I don't know. Everything's been replaced. We have all electrical circuits working, but they didn't have time to test the engine. And I guess the only big problem we don't have any more baffles inside the engine cowling, so maybe the salt water will get us. It's hard to say.
But they work on. There's even Bernie Little, the boat owner, working on it. We'll have E2B right after this.